All right, thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for attending our regular scheduled meeting. It is 12:02 p.m. November 12th, 2024 here at the GHURA's main office in Sinajana. Before we get started our roll call, I'd like to first say thank you for everybody for joining us live and in company. Number two, a big shout out to our servicemen and women and all of our veterans. Thank you, and I hope you had a blessed Veterans Day and happy Veterans Day. Specifically, our Deputy Director here, Fernando, and your brother Charles. Thank you for everything that you and your brother have given, sacrificed, and dedicated to our home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carlo and Fran here too, by the way.
Yes, and all of our veterans. Absolutely. All right, with that being said, we'll move on to item number one, roll call. Commissioner Torres.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Corpus.
Present.
Commissioner Rivera, excuse me, Chairman Rivera and Commissioner Delia are excused. Commissioner Rice?
Present.
Thank you. We have quorum. All right, next item on your agenda is, all right, approval of our previous board meetings, board meetings, public announcements, and our printouts from our publications in the Post and I believe the PDN. Any questions, commissioners? All right, everything seems to be in order. Thank you, Audrey. Dispatcher will make sure our publications are out there. That is for the first printing Monday, November 4th, 2024, second printing Sunday, November 10th, 2024. I see no questions, concerns. We are good to go. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 3, approval of previous board minutes. Commissioners, any questions or corrections? None? Okay, thank you. All right, I'm gonna call for a vote to approve the previous board minutes. Thank you. One. Thank you, Commissioners. All right, any? Go ahead and move to vote on this, show of hands. Okay, excuse me. Approval of previous board minutes approved. Thank you. All right, item number 4, new business resolution number FY 2025-003, resolution approving above step recruitment for the accountant 2. This is a permanent position. All right, Madam Director, floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Resolution number FY 2025-003, resolution approving above step recruitment for the accountant 2 permanent position. Whereas under the enabling legislation of the authority, Title 12, subsection 5103 GCA, its Board of Commissioners is empowered to employ officers, technical experts, agents, and employees, permanent and temporary, as it may deem necessary, and shall determine their qualifications, duties, tenure, and compensation. And whereas Title 4 of the Guam Code annotated, the appointing authority or the head of an agency, department, or public corporation listed in 4 GCA subsection 4105A may petition the Director of Administration, the Judicial Council, as to judicial branch employment, or the agency, department, or public corporation's governing board or commission, as to an agency, department, or public corporation listed in 4 GCA subsection 4105A, for recruitment at a higher step not to exceed step 10 because of documented difficulty or exceptional qualifications. And whereas, despite recruitment difficulty, both our current and past auditors have recommended that the authority add additional accounting staff to the authority's fiscal division. And whereas, although this accounting position specifically falls under the modernization section, her position continues to augment the accounting division in addressing grant reconciliation, maintaining general ledger accounts for the capital fund program. And whereas, with the completion of the recruitment of the accountant to permanent position and having been issued the job offer, Ms. Narcel T. Carlos submitted her request to executive management requesting to petition the GHURA Board of Commissioners for an above the minimum step recruitment for the position of accountant 2 based on exceptional qualifications. And whereas Ms. Carlos' exceptional qualifications for the accountant 2 position consists of the following: a college degree, a bachelor's degree in accounting, Holy Angel University in the Philippines in 2000, work experience, private sector with over 20 years in financial accounting for number 1 contractor, Mobile Guam Inc., supply assistant, financial accountant / bank reconciliation analyst for 11 years. Number 2, GNN Corporation, DBA, Harmon Drug. She was an accounts receivable clerk for 5 years. Number 3, Bank of Florida in the Philippines. She was a loan subsidiary assistant for 2 years. And number 4, Venutech Medica in the Philippines. She was a sales / accounting position for 4 years. Other special notes: under Mobile Guam, she traveled to Thailand to participate in setting up and implementing a new accounting system software. She also traveled to Papua New Guinea to close audit gaps under Mobile Guam. She was hired as a temporary employee. Ms. Carlos' addition to the MOD / fiscal team here at GHURA has improved the level of efficiency and effectiveness of both the MOD section and the fiscal division. For example, in just a short 6 months, Ms. Carlos made key accomplishments reconciling the capital fund program grants from 2003 to 2019, representing 16 years worth of needed reconciliation. Whereas management believes the compensation package of salary and benefits, i.e. retirement, holidays, annual / sick leave, etc., is reasonable and respectfully requests an above-step recruitment of Ms. Carlos, MG5-8A, at $65,536 per annum, or $31.51 per hour. And whereas the GHURA board recognizes that it has the discretionary authority to go below or beyond management's recommendations. An example, MG 5-2A at $46,200 per annum, or $22.21 per hour, through MG 5-10F at $77,297 per annum, or $37.16 per hour maximum, but supports management's request for the above step recruitment. And whereas funding for this position is available from the Capital Fund Program funds, and be it further resolved that in consideration of the applicant's exceptional knowledge and experience, the GHURA Board of Commissioners grants the above step requirement for Ms. Naricel T. Carlos, MG 5-8A at $65,536 per annum and $31.51 per hour. And I believe Ms. Kim, yes, Ms. Kim is in the boardroom. Should you have any questions?
Thank you, Madam Director. Commissioners, Ms. Kim, would you like to add?
Half a day and good afternoon, Commissioners, Deputy Director Esteves, Director Napoli. Thank you again for the opportunity to come before the board. We are requesting for an above step recruitment for the accountant 2 position. As reiterated in the board resolution that the director just read, there's some background information. There is a need for an accountant 2 position. The board approves all pay, including temporary requests for an above step recruitment. So that was done in May. Pleased to report we've completed the merit system for that position, and now we are before you a request for the permanent classified position. And I believe it can speak for itself what was accomplished in the 6 months as a temporary. So we look forward to having more accomplishments in the coming years ahead. So I have Ms. Fran here to help us attest to her background. It's exceptional. She comes from the private sector. And what was amazing was that 16-year period of reconciliation that needed to be done all this time and just couldn't for many reasons. So Director Liz, if I can pass the floor to Ms. Fran to provide some short comments.
Ms. Fran, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for considering the above step for Ms. Naricel Carlos. This is her, so you can put a face to the money, at least because I'm the money person. And so, Kim asked me to kind of write down things that will help, like, to solidify why she should get an above step, and it wasn't too hard because Naricel is a fast learner. She has been an instrumental employee up at the fiscal office, in that the other accountants have kind of looked toward to her to help them reconcile even difficult bank reconciliations. So I can say that she has reconciled one of our Section 8 bank accounts that was really hard. She's taken on one of the bank reconciliations that not even I like, which is our revolving fund, because that has a lot of transactions in it. She has also been detailed when I was gone to do the FDS at home. She was detailed as certifying officer, and I tell you, she did not make us go bankrupt. And she has given me some tips on some things that she wants to change on some of our bank reconciliations and some of our processes that she's taken from her private experience onto GHURA. And just to let you know, to me, she's such a big asset here in GHURA, and I kind of told her, please don't go anywhere because I really need you. So it's she will be worth every penny that we give.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Commissioners, would you like to add to that? Any questions? Sure. Oh, no question, excuse me. Ms. Fran, I think I speak on behalf of the entire board when we know that it's not the quality of people that have come and gone in your department, but the having to compartmentalize and bring work to where it is today, along with Ms. Kim and everybody who's involved. And we know from our previous meeting and how taxing and cumbersome that has been psychologically and physically, and the amount of hours that you've sacrificed to be here to keep our agency financially afloat. So, there's really not much, and we do appreciate everything that all the accolades that you had mentioned about Ms. Carlos. But if this is what you need to maintain the quality of life in your department, then absolutely. And we're excited to maintain the quality of our employees and not the quantity, right? Because we can hire everybody in the world, but if it's costing us money, then it doesn't make any sense economically, right? So I have no reservations with this step. And if commissioners, anything else before I want to?
I recall Chairman Rivera brought up something about the positions, the temporary positions or the monster recruitment. He brought it up before whether, and I have to go, I guess we have to go back. I wondered about that. And I remember now that you brought about in May, her case was brought up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right,
Yes,
right.
because the board entertains
temporary.
temporary above step recruitment,
Right.
even for temp positions.
Right.
The board, everything goes to the board for approval. So,
And
and there was a need at the time, and so
Right.
the
the merit
realignment and
system,
everything is.
yeah, the merit
in
system
place.
takes time,
Right.
and so,
Ms. Friend, excuse me, are we fully staffed in terms of the accountants that you need?
No, we're not.
Okay, so just to reiterate, just to bring Commissioner Torres up to speed, because he brought up a very good question. How many more accountants,
Right now, there's another,
to be ideal, excuse me,
another 3 more.
about 3 more?
So we're in the works of 2.
Mhm.
So I'm sorry, that will be 4 more. So
4
there's
more.
2, and then there's another 2 that we will be recruiting for. And I know that we've been always coming to the board for above steps, but it's Guam is small,
Sure,
and our county our county commissions there's very little out there. And so it's like, in order for the person to stay, like you said, Vice Chair, it's the quality of life. And so when they come and they don't get paid, kind of similar to the other agencies, they prefer to go there than here. And like he said, that GHURA is kind of complex. I don't keep the accountants that we have here are not accountants in specific areas. Like, for example, they don't just do accounts receivable, they don't just do payroll, they don't just do accounts payable. They go from the first cycle from payroll all the way down to like the reporting. So our accountants here become very experienced. They're all over the place. So here, although we don't pay as much, but the experience that you get from GHURA is where it will make you be so marketable that recently our accountant one from the CPD side, we hired him right off from GHURA, right off from graduation from UOG, and now he has a job at GPA because they can pay more.
yeah. So this also keeps us competitive as
Yes,
well,
yes.
because, again, this is the government, it's not the private sector.
Right.
And, anything that we can do within our means, we're going to do it, right? So you can't go anywhere now.
Give me at least 5 years.
We need to suck you dry first. Congratulations. I have no reservations with this step up, commissioners, before we move on. Okay. With that being said, can I get a motion on the floor?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for resolution FY 2025-03, resolution approving above step recruitment for the accountant position 2, permanent position. Marcella?
Larissa.
Marissa.
Excuse me. T. Carlos, at MG5.8A at $65,536 or $31.51 per hour.
Thank you, Commissioner Corpus. Can I get a,
I'll second that.
thank you, Commissioner. Go ahead and take a show of hands for the vote. 2. Motion passes. Congratulations, Mrs. Carlos, and
Please stay.
please stay with us.
Thank you.
And also, Ms. Fran, Ms. Carlos, if you and your team, as always, open door policy, if you need anything, just please feel free to let us know. Right?
Thank you very much.
We're working with some outstanding people in this office, so we do have a great team and above all, a family. So thank you. Appreciate it. All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Ms. Kim. Appreciate it. All right, moving along, resolution number FY 2025-004. This is a resolution authorizing the Section 8 Management Assessment Program, or SEMAP, certification form HUD-52648 for fiscal year ending 2024. Madam Director, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And I believe Ms. Norma Nicholas is in the boardroom there. Should you have any questions after we present the resolution. And the resolution came about with a letter or a memo addressed to the GHURA Board of Commissioners regarding the 2024 CMAP certification. And she basically indicated that the Section 8 Management Assessment Program, better known as SEMAP, SEMAP, the resolution and certification form that was in the packet for your review and approval is the certification form HUD-52648 that affirms GHURA's annual self-assessment of key areas of the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program for the fiscal year ending 2024 per the 15 indicators in accordance with 24 CFR 985. Although the form HUD-52648 reflects 15 indicators that includes an addendum for deconcentration bonus point, indicators 7 and 15 are not applicable to Guam due to these indicators are relevant for metropolitan areas only. She indicated that the Section 8 Management Assessment Program is a HUD tool used to evaluate each PHA's operations and performance of the Section 8 tenant-based voucher program. And the CMAP consists of the 15 indicators that are directly tied to the administration of the vouchers, which HUD uses to, number 1, confirm each PHA's CMAP profile. Number 2, evaluate the challenges faced by each agency. Number 3, identify low and high performing agencies. And number 4, ultimately help the housing agency improve areas of weaknesses. As per regulations, the PHA must self-assess their performance for indicators 1 through 8 and validate its process by electronically submitting form HUD-52648 within 60 days after the end of the PHA's fiscal year and after board approval. And indicators 9 through 15 are validated by HUD through GHURA's monthly submission of HUD 50058 forms. HUD provides the results of the monthly submissions through an ad hoc report from the PIH Information Center, or known as the PIC system. The fiscal year ending 2024 self-assessment results reflect that GHURA's administration and performance of the Section 8 tenant-based voucher program are within compliance with 24 CFR Parts 5, 982, and 985. Although the self-assessment is required at the end of each fiscal year, GHURA's practice is to perform quality control reviews monthly rather than at the end of the fiscal year. The monthly assessment of each indicator helps detect, identify, resolve, and document deficiencies found in each review. The maximum possible points that GHURA may earn is 140 points. Therefore, self-assessments and HUD's Multifamily Tenant Characteristic System, or MTCS, reporting are showing that GHURA is performing well by scoring above 95% in each indicator, therefore possibly earning an overall score of 140 points. Should you have any questions regarding the self-assessment or the certification, Norma is in the boardroom with you now. So let me just read the resolution. Resolution number FY 2025-004. Resolution approving the Section 8 Management Assessment Program, or SEMAP, certification, Form HUD-52648 for fiscal year ending 2024. Whereas the Section 8 Management Assessment Program, SEMAP, is a management tool developed and designed by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the purpose of identifying and assessing the public housing agencies, or PHA's, performance, management capability, and to assist in the improvement of the PHA's program operations. And whereas 24 CFR 985.10A of the Code of Federal Regulations requires PHAs to submit the Section 8 Management Assessment Program certification form within 60 days after the end of its fiscal year. And whereas 24 CFR 985.10A requires PHA's Section 8 Management Assessment Program certification to be approved by the agency's Board of Commissioners, and therefore be it resolved that the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Board of Commissioners approves the Section 8 Management Assessment Program certification for fiscal year ending 2024. Any
Thank you, ma'am.
questions?
Oh, excuse me. Thank you, Ms. Liz. Hi, Ms. Roma.
Hi, good afternoon,
Good
Chairman, members of the board, Deputy and Executive Director. Yes, it's that time of the year. Every year we'll be here to get you to sign the certification. But basically, like Ms. Liz pointed out, this is a HUD tool that actually evaluates how we perform, how we administer the Section 8 program. And I will pass it to Nicole because she does our reviews. She actually pulls files and audit the files to determine just, if we're complying based on determining eligibility for the program. Are we fairly selecting families off the wait list? Are we conducting inspections like the way we should? And that's what we are required to do. And also for the agency itself, we also determine our error rate, and we use it to evaluate our employees when it comes time to evaluate them. It's a fair way to say, yeah, this is what you earn because this is, how you're performing when you conduct your work.
Right.
But other than that, every year we have to come before you and get your approval for the self-certification. But right now, I'll go ahead and pass it on to Nicole, and she'll explain the process because she's our internal auditor and she puts us in our place when we're not. So go ahead, Nicole.
Thank you, Ms. Norma. Happy day and good afternoon, everyone. Board of Commissioners, Deputy Director, Executive Director. Yes, so just to kind of give you an idea of what we do through the whole evaluation, as Ms. Liz had mentioned, we do this on a monthly basis. So I take a look at different files pertaining to indicators 1 through 7, because that is our self-assessment. Everything else is taken from our reports from the PIC system, as mentioned earlier. So I pull the files, and it's a random sample. So I do have a universe that I look at. So for example, for indicator number 3, if our universe, meaning like the files that I would have to file, is like about 100, I would pull 10 or 15, and I would evaluate them. Over that time, over the last year, within all the indicators that I review, there has been some discrepancies that we have found, but rest assured, as we find these discrepancies, I take it straight to the supervisors of the caseworker We go through the proper channels of identifying it, ensuring that I'm doing the proper QC review, as well as any input that the supervisors may have. Then we pull in that caseworker, we talk them through any sort of discrepancy that I found, and then we correct it. Okay, so another added piece that we do on a monthly basis, we have a meeting with our Section 8 staff, and it's more of a staff development. So we review these types of findings or discrepancies, and we discuss it. So we hear input from everyone, and everyone hears how we corrected it, and so everyone's on the same page. So that's the process in a whole. If you have any other questions, I'm happy to help you with that.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Appreciate it. It's a lot of work. So you basically just organically create your own algorithm.
There is an algorithm that HUD gives us, and I do follow that.
Contrast that. That's
Yes,
right,
exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole. You're the unsung hero.
It really helps
I'm sure.
because we catch the errors before the IPA or HUD. So, we try and minimize as much error as possible.
Before it becomes benevolent.
Yes.
Right.
But it also, brings the staff to a point where everyone operates consistently.
Sure.
Everybody calculates the same way, and everybody has the same interpretation as far as regulation goes.
So it's a symbiotic relationship.
Mhm.
Mr. Quinn, what were the discrepancies that you found?
Yeah, so I just listed a few. Obviously, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'll just kind of describe the situation. Okay, sure. So for example, in indicator number 3, which is adjusted income.
Okay.
Some of the discrepancies that I found is, unfortunately, we try to retrieve as much information from our tenants as possible, but there are times where we don't report, or they do not report their income fully. There are some ways that I see, like for instance, on one of the incomes or one of the documents that they're supposed to give us is so we can calculate their tenant share is on bank statements. Sometimes I see on their bank statements, this is my depth of how far I go into this audit. I see on their bank statements that they're receiving a little bit more income than they reported. So in that, I bring it to the caseworker or the supervisor and say, hey, can you just ask your tenant, where they're getting this additional income? In one situation, they did find that they were not reporting it. Okay. So, we went through the proper channels and the proper processes to correct that.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then again, it's all a learning curve. This is what we took from that as a team is look at the bank statements,
right.
See if there's anything outside of the ordinary from what they're reporting, and ask the question while they're doing an AR or an interview with the tenant or the participant. And then, hopefully in the future that will avoid those types of things.
I know in addition to that, you brought up a very good point. There's still a lot that's out of our control. Right, we can't force these people to disclose and be completely transparent and expect that to be the case for every client, right? So we appreciate the troubleshooting and the steps that you've taken to remedy the situation before it becomes systematically a systemic problem for us, right? So yeah, thank you. So that's you said there was 3, 4?
Yeah, there's a few. So that's kind of, that's an example of how.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, not interjecting. No, don't be sorry, excuse me. Is this the primary discrepancy that you've been naturally encountering with clients?
Well, each indicator has a different view.
Sure. Okay.
So whether or not that's the primary for that indicator, yes, that would be a primary for that specific one. Correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, Commissioner Forrest.
And you do this on a monthly basis, this?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty good. So before the end of the year, you find out.
Yeah, we didn't want to wait till the end of the year to realize, oh God,
Okay,
we're gonna fail this year. No, we want to prevent that before we do fail.
Yeah, we want our progress reports to be.
Can I ask what's the acronym HQS?
Housing Quality Standards.
That's our inspection module that we follow.
Soon to be replaced.
Correct.
Yes,
Yes.
it will be replaced by Inspire.
Yeah, that's right.
I forgot what Inspire, maybe I,
National Inspection.
there you go.
They thought that this acronym was too short.
And so
I
public
know,
housing is
right?
already on it, Inspire. Section 8, there's still a delay because there's still landlords need to adjust to it. That way they don't run into all the units just failing because they're not up to the new standards. So they have an implementation deadline further to the right.
Yes, but more to that, we're also waiting for the vendor to upgrade the system
Mhm.
so that they can download whatever inspection they bring in. So,
The software.
So you mentioned on the landlord's adjustment period. Do you have a timeline as to what the variables are going to be?
I think we're planning some trainings and
Well-
some notices coming out.
HUD has already indicated, I believe for Inspire, I think it's October 1, 2025 is the absolute drop date, correct, sir?
Yes.
But I know that MIS is already working with the vendor to get the
Yeah.
software because the staff basically have already, most of them have already gone to training and we're getting more training, formal training, hopefully by February. And not just on Inspire, but with the HUDMA changes and all that.
Right.
So your transition would be kind of smooth?
Well, HUD,
I mean,
it's
there's always
gonna be
hiccups,
smooth. Yeah, HUD's pushed the deadline back twice already.
Yeah.
Because most of the software, housing software out there, hasn't yet incorporated Inspire in there. And we're still working that piece.
So it's not just us.
No,
definitely
absolutely not. We're probably more
Proactive.
prepared. Yeah, I mean, we've already done the training. You have housing. I mean, most of the other PHAs is because they're getting a lot of pushback from the landlords. And that's the big national push to keep pushing it to the right. I think we're better poised to succeed, but we do, plan to start doing the landlord education.
Well, actually, we've already started the landlord education but we are, Nicole's also with Steve Baza, the housing inspector supervisor, has been bringing it up during our landlord briefings and such. But we've been sending out notices and we've been sending out flyers and links to what Inspire is about and what requirements versus HQS.
To get these
Yes.
quickly acclimated.
Yeah, we're trying to be as proactive as possible.
I know. We're just waiting for our number. Basically.
Yeah, likely we'll probably take it to the deadline. I mean, we want to maximize time, but really the big delay we're having is really the software. It's
really
trying
what it
to
is.
mesh that into our operations.
Right.
Well, it's in Julie's hands. I'm sure we're gonna be just fine.
I know, but I think public housing is already using theirs, but I don't see Section 8 doing it.
Yeah.
With just paper. We have like 4,000 at a minimum, 4,000 inspections to do per year.
Yeah, ours is, public housing is different.
Yeah.
You like trees. Yeah, I get it.
I
I like trees. So I was alluding this moment, you brought up something very important, and Ms. Nicole, maybe you both could answer this. So we scored 95%, correct? In our scoring, performing as well as scoring above 95%.
Above.
Above 95%.
Yes.
What's the national average? Do you have that number?
National average of,
Yes. So we take all the Section 8.
I never really looked at it.
Never?
No, I'm only concerned about what GHURA does.
Sure. I'm just curious. That's just pure curiosity.
My concern is just passing
Just pass. Okay.
above, okay? So I'm not concerned about other housing authorities but we're doing okay.
Yeah,
That's all I can
we're
say.
doing more than okay. And that's just me projecting my competitive spirit. That's all. Thank you. One last thing for me, and considering the presidential election and where the results are going congressionally, do you foresee anything changing in terms of the CMAP with the new administration coming in?
Not right away, probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, not right away.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, at least not for 2025. I mean, a lot of the changes on the regulatory side are either have to go through legislative policy, like
Right.
HOTMA,
Right.
and then, or they have to go through their Administrative Process Act to
Sure.
change regulations.
The whole SIP thing.
So we would know well in advance. and-
Right,
and adapt.
HUDMA passed in 2016, and they're just now coming out with
The guidance,
rules.
the
Yes.
guidance to the federal legislation.
We're never gonna play, coach.
Not us.
I know. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you, Ms. Nicole, for all of your work.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Commissioners, do you have any other questions for our team? Okay, with that being said, if there's no other questions, may I get a motion on the floor? Number 2.
Okay, I move that we approve resolution number FY 2025-004. Resolution approving section 8 management assessment program, CMAP, certification form HUD 52648 for fiscal year ending 2024.
Thank you, Commissioner. May I get a second? Thank you, Commissioner Flores. And we will call for a vote. Motion 1-2. Motion passes. Thank you very much. And above all, thank you, Ms. Norma, for all of your help and hard work. And Nicole, thank you.
Yeah, we need for you your signature on the form so that they can send it off.
Absolutely. Motion passes. Yes, let me know.
Ink and paper.
Ink to paper.
They gotta change it. That's just gonna say.
Oh, and of course, again, open door policy. If the entire section 18 needs anything from us, please.
Thank you, sir.
All right, moving along, resolution FY 2025-005. This is a resolution to adopt the revised Housing Choice Voucher Program administrative plan that includes changes mandated by the Housing Opportunities through Modernization Act, HOTMA of 2016. Floor is yours, Madam Director. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. So a memorandum was initiated by Norma regarding the request for approval and adoption of GHURA's revised Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program Administrative Plan. And in it, she did indicate that the administrative plan has been updated to comply with Sections 102 and 104 of the Housing Opportunity through Modernization Act, or HOTMA, of 2016. The 2016 public law made significant changes to the United States Housing Act of 1937, with HUD promulgating and releasing mandates to public housing agencies to adopt and implement the changes on or before January 1st, 2025. The updated plan has gone through the required 45-day public comment period and public hearing. As such, GHURA did not receive any public input. Some of the significant changes to the plan involve how assets and income must be calculated and verified, the types of income inclusions and exclusions that must be considered, types of deductions and expenses to be taken into account during determining adjustments, implementing applicable fair housing and civil rights requirements, how to handle changes involving the family's household composition, applying inflationary adjustments as necessary, changes to interim reexamination process, and lastly, HUD has also updated certain forms that families must complete before admission and during the reexamination period. In quotes, please, or parentheses, please see the list of examples of modifications summarized for your review. The Section 8 team is working diligently to ensure accurate and timely services for our families. We believe upholding program integrity and maintaining compliance with HUD requirements is key to meeting this goal. Therefore, your review and favorable approval of the administrative plan is very important. And should you have any questions, Ms. Norma and Ms. Nicole are present in the boardroom. So let me read resolution number FY 2025-005. Resolution to adopt the revised Housing Choice Voucher Program Administrative Plan that includes changes mandated by the Housing Opportunities Through Modernization Act, or HOTMA, of 2016. Whereas 24 CFR Part 982.54A requires public housing agencies with a Section 8 program to adopt a written administrative plan that establishes local policies for the administration of the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program in accordance with requirements prescribed by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. And whereas 24 CFR 982.54A further states that the administrative plan and any revision of the plan must be formally adopted by the PHA's Board of Commissioners, and 24 CFR 982.54C mandates all housing authorities to administer the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program in accordance with the administrative plan. And whereas the passage of the Housing Opportunity Through Modernization Act of 2016, in parentheses, Public Law, or PL 114-201, included requirements that made significant changes to the United States Housing Act of 1937 and HUD promulgating mandates for PHAs to revise their HCV administrative plan and implement new regulatory changes in accordance with sections 102 and 104 of the law. And whereas policy modifications to the Housing Act are relevant to asset and income calculations, deductions and expenses, applicable fair housing and civil rights requirements, household composition, income, in parentheses, types and sources, income exclusions, inflationary adjustments, interim adjustments, and verifications. Whereas the revisions to the administrative plan policies for adoption here within consist of both mandatory and discretionary policies that are necessary to ensure access to fair and equal housing for all. And therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners of the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority, GHURA, hereby approves and adopts the revised Section 8 Administrative Plan. And part of your packet on page 14 did include a new HOTMA requirements, examples of significant changes. And if you have any questions, Norma and Ms. Nicole are present in the boardroom.
Thank you, Madam Director. Ms. Nora, Ms. Nicole, I know some of this you've already touched on. So thank you for that. Commissioner, go ahead and take some time. I have no questions. Ms. Norma, Ms. Nicole, would you like to add any of this?
No, just that this is important and hope that you approve because we have to come into compliance with the law as well as HUD requirements.
Absolutely.
So thank you for your support.
Always. Thank you. All right, if I'm not having, excuse me, if I don't have any questions or discussions on the matter, may I get a motion, please, to approve?
Okay, I'll make a motion. What was that, number 4?
Number 3.
Motion to approve resolution to adopt the revised Housing Choice Voucher Program administrative plan that includes changes mandated by the Housing Administrative Plan and by the Housing Opportunities Through Modernization Act for HUDMA of 2016.
Thank you, Commissioner. May I get a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner. May I get a show of hands for vote, please? Motion is approved. Thank you again to our Section 18 Nicole and Ms. Norma. All right, moving along, resolution FY 2025-006. This is a resolution approving fiscal year 2025, Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program, utility allowance schedule and additional allowance, additional allowance for reasonable accommodations for persons with disabilities. Madam Director.
Hi, thank you, Vice Chair Nate. Okay, the resolution was preceded by a memo from Ms. Norma regarding this 2025 utility allowance schedule. And she indicated that HUD Regulation 24 CFR 982.517 requires housing authorities to establish and maintain a utility allowance for all tenant-paid utilities for the Section 8 HCV program. The allowance schedule must be annually reviewed and adjusted to determine if there is a rate change of 10% or more. Attached with the memorandum for your review and approval is Form HUD-52667 with allowances per bedroom size for calendar year 2024. The last review and adjustments were made on November 2023 for fiscal year 2024. The utility allowance for 2025 was established through the collaboration and assistance of the island's utility companies such as the Guam Power Authority, Guam Waterworks, Pacific LP Gas, and the Guam Solid Waste Authority. Under increased electrical fuel recovery charge, basic electricity rates for power have not changed, but the rate for fuel recovery charge has increased by 13% from the last approved utility allowance. The increased rate means a minimum of $17 added to the family's power bill and as much as $67 for the larger unit sizes because of greater consumption of larger households. Effective October 1st, 2024, GPA is charging customers 26 cents per power consumption, in contrast to the 23 cents from last year's rate as a result of the increase in the fuel recovery charge. Table 1 below illustrates an example of the minimum impact of the rate increase to the family's monthly power bill. So Table 1, the fuel recovery charge impact, shows at a rate of 26 cents in calendar year 2025 for a 0-bedroom at $157.72, increased from the 23 cents in calendar year 2024, which was $139.15. So that was a $17.37 increase from calendar year 24's rate. For a 1-bedroom, it went from calendar year 24, $202.25 to $229.25 in calendar year 25 at 26 cents increase. And for a 2-bedroom, it went from $254.72 to $288.72. So that's a $34 increase. For a 3-bedroom, it went from $314.12 to $356.05 at the new rate, and that's a $41.93 increase. For a 4-bedroom, it went from $393.41 to $445.92, and that's an increase of $52.51.
Sorry, Madam Director, if I may interject, thank you. Will you be able to, if it's okay, just to summarize it, you just give the abridged version?
Sure.
Yes,
So
thank you.
basically, yes, thank you. So basically, the increased electoral fuel recovery charge, there's a table showing the impact of the increase in the fuel charge. And then water and sewer rates effective October 1st. It shows that the service charges also rose per month for those. And there's a table that indicates that. For sewer, the rate for the sewer increased also from $27.54 to $35.85 from calendar year 2024 to calendar year 2025. And table 3 reflects that. And then under reasonable accommodations, in addition to the standard tenant paid utility allowance schedule, HUD requires PHAs to establish a higher schedule of allowances to accommodate persons with disabilities. And the Fair Housing Act defines reasonable accommodations as a change, exception, or adjustment to a rule, policy, practice, or service that may be necessary for a person with a disability to have equal opportunity to use and enjoy a dwelling, including the public and common use of spaces. And also, the Fair Housing Act also states that there must be a reasonable nexus between the individual's disability and the requested accommodation. To ensure persons with disabilities have equal opportunity to enjoy a peaceful dwelling, we have developed and attached an itemized monthly allowance for electricity per medical equipment. The additional cost per equipment will be included in the family's regular monthly utility allowance. So there's also bottled gas and trash collection services. Rates for bottled gas and trash collection services remain unchanged. The rates from calendar year 2024 will continue to take effect in calendar year 2025. So I will go ahead and read resolution number FY 2025-006. A resolution approving the fiscal year 2025 Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program Utility Allowance Schedule and additional allowances for reasonable accommodations for persons with disabilities. Whereas pursuant to 24 CFR 982.517, the authority is required to maintain a utility allowance schedule for all tenant-paid utilities under the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. Whereas the requisite of the regulation is the utility allowance schedule must be reviewed annually and revised to reflect changes of 10% or more of any utility rate from the last revised schedule. Whereas pursuant to 24 CFR 982.517E, the PHA must also approve a utility allowance which is higher than the amounts for the standard utility allowance to accommodate persons with disabilities. Whereas the Fair Housing Act defines reasonable accommodations as a charge, exception, or adjustment to a rule, policy, practice, or service that may be necessary for a person with a disability to have equal opportunity to use and enjoy a dwelling, including public and common use of spaces. Whereas the adoption of additional amounts is necessary to reasonably accommodate disabled participants who utilize medical equipment, such as a ventilator, respiratory machines, powered wheelchairs, or motorized mobility devices, chairlifts, CPAP, etc. Whereas 24 CFR 982.17D requires the authority to use the appropriate utility allowance for the actual unit size of each dwelling unit leased by the participant family under the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. Whereas the authority's timely maintenance and implementation of the utility allowance schedule impacts the authority's performance under the Section 8 Management Program, SEMAP, as delineated in 24 CFR 985.3D, whereas the approved utility allowance schedule shall be applied to HAP contracts effectuated for calendar year 2025, and therefore be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners reviewed and approved the FY 2025 Section 8 utility allowance schedule and additional allowances for higher rent per reasonable accommodation for persons with disabilities. Any questions? And Ms. Norma and Nicole are present with you.
Thank you, Madam Director. Appreciate that.
Oh, I have a question. And utility allowance schedule, there's figures like bottled gas, it has 40, 25 for electric. What is 40? What measurement is that?
That's basically how much, I'm sorry, it should be in dollars.
Oh,
How
so
much,
$9.
yeah, so we divide up the amount that they'll be getting based on the appliances that's in the unit.
Okay, okay.
So if they have bottled gas, we give them a price for, or the allowance for bottled gas based on the unit size.
Oh, okay, now I was wondering what that. Okay.
So yes, HUD asked us, normally we put it out as like an Excel form, but HUD wants us to put it out this way in this form. If you notice, the biggest increase here is water and sewer.
Water.
That's kind of, I underlined it, 31 to 36% for 5,000 gallons.
They're paying for all the improvements that are.
Yes, I believe that's
We
what's
should bottle our
happening.
Guam water, so it should be well.
And I believe they're proposing for further increases. So, even as a private citizen, not Section 8 client, we're feeling it.
Yeah, that's another. Ladies, in terms of our clients' relevance to the utilities, what has the obvious with the increase in utilities in general, has that had a negative impact on our clients in terms of them that tie in back to the discrepancies that Nicole was talking about before?
I don't know about the discrepancy. If you're talking about, are we calculating it in there? I don't think we found any errors in that. But we are concerned, though, that we have to make sure that we give them the adequate amount of allowances, because when I first started Section 8, one of the biggest termination reasons was disconnection of power or disconnection of water. So, you know, we have to be diligent about monitoring the increases, because it's, you know, it's an impact on our agency as far as performance wise, but also the turnaround in releasing out those vouchers.
Right.
So
It's add something. It's important to remember that the utility allowance granted is for basic utilization.
yes,
Right, so when they calculate, you know, how much gas you should use regularly or water, it's not kind of, somebody uses too much power or too much water, they're now responsible for whatever difference that is on the bill.
Difference is borne by the.
Correct.
By the,
Yeah.
right, okay.
But we, the close monitoring of and the reasons why our tenants are being terminated, it's become very rare now that we terminate based on disconnection, which is a good sign that we're doing something right. But they're also mindful that, this is important, that they have to have their water and power always running, because it's also a safety issue and it impacts our housing quality standards and the condition of the unit.
Yeah, those physiological needs have to be met.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. Commissioner, any further questions? Motion on the floor to approve number 4.
Okay, make a motion. To approve the resolution approving the fiscal year 2025, Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program Utility Allowance Schedule and additional allowance for reasonable accommodations for persons with disabilities.
Thank you, Commissioner. May I get a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we'll call a vote. Show of hands. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you again, ladies. Congratulations. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, before I go any further, I'm going to call for a 5-minute recess, please.
Yes, sir. I would just recommend that we leave the audio and video on.
Sure.
And just inform the commissioners not to discuss any matter before the board, and also the people that are present, that anything they say is being recorded.
Absolutely. Thank you, legal.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Don't talk to you later.
No, I didn't say don't talk to them.
All right. Legal, just to reiterate, do I have
Yes,
to
sir.
make a motion for recess?
No, you can just call for a recess.
Okay, so I'll call for a 5-minute break. Thank you. My phone's staying here. Thank you.
Okay. But this one, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I was gonna say that. No, you need to guess it.
Dolphins or Rams, 13,
Hmm?
17-6, third quarter.
The Buffaloes?
Hmm.
Oh, Dolphins and Rams? Huh?
The Dolphins made it.
Yeah, they sure do. Oh, the Commanders and Eagles.
Well, that's a
Coming up.
game, yeah. That's, let's see. This Friday, no, Thursday night game.
Oh, this is what I think it is.
And Monday mornings, I watch Red Zone. No commercial. That's so right back.
Oh, man. Core 2,
Oh, yeah,
no, Core 3,
I forgot. That's
Core
right.
2 to be announced, but
Core 2. Phil's tropical storm. Speeds of 60. Yeah, I thought it was gonna go north.
it's not enough time in the day to account for these delays affecting the workload. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, ladies. Almost there. So when we commence, just we're back in session.
Yeah, we're gonna resume the meeting and just call the time, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Are you ready? Thank you. Okay, the time is 1:13 p.m. and we are commencing our meeting. Thank you for that. Okay, moving along. Item number 5, resolution FY 2025-007. Resolution approving fiscal year 2025 Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program payment standards. Madam Director, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and read resolution number FY 2025-007 as the memo that was initiated by Ms. Norma regarding this actually is already in the resolution I will read, and just any further details would be in that memo of November 4th from her, but it is in the board packet. Resolution number FY 2025-007, resolution approving fiscal year 2025 Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program payment standards. Whereas 24 CFR 982.5033 requires public housing agencies administering the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program, or HCV, to establish a payment standards schedule with a single payment standard amount for each unit size based on the area's fair market rent, or FMR. And whereas 24 CFR 982.505 requires GHURA to utilize the payment standards schedule to calculate the maximum monthly housing assistance payment for the participant family under the Section 8 HCV program. When utilizing the payment standard for the family, it shall be the lower of A, the payment standard for the family unit size, or B, the payment standard amount for the size of the dwelling unit rented by the family. And whereas, with exceptions to HUD-approved waivers and reasonable accommodations for persons with disabilities, 24 CFR 985.3I requires public housing agencies to review and adjust its voucher payment standard amounts annually to ensure it is within the basic range that is not less than 90% and not more than 110% of the area's fair market rent. The 2025 FMR for each unit size below has increased as much as 4%. The FY 2025 payment standards are based on the published fair market rent for Guam as illustrated in Table 1 below. And so Table 1 fair market rents for 2025 and 2024 do show increases in all the bedroom sizes from calendar year 2024 to calendar year 2025. Whereas when establishing the Section 8 payment standards, GURA considers important factors in the analysis that normally impact the successful leasing of vouchers. These factors include the prevailing rental rates in the private rental market, the cost of basic utilities such as power, water, sewer, and trash pickup services, how long it takes families to find a suitable unit, the number of lapsed vouchers, the number of failed units, shelter burden for the families, the FY 2025 Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program budget, and the impact of other renters in the private market. For calendar year 2025, the proposed payment standard schedules for each unit size is set between 110%, but not more than 120% for reasonable accommodation for persons with disabilities, in parentheses, as per 24 CFR 982.503D5, and VASH participants in accordance with the Housing Opportunity through Modernization Act of 2016. And so Table 2 shows the proposed 2025 payment standards for the regular Housing Choice vouchers and the special purpose voucher programs. So it shows 0 bedrooms to 6 bedrooms at the 110% of FMR. Whereas 24 CFR 982.503D5 permits housing authorities to establish without HUD approval or notification an exceptional payment standard for participants with a disability and for veterans under the Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing Program. The exceptional payment standards are to provide disabled and VASH participants a fair chance to access and enjoy housing opportunities. The exception payment standard amount for an individual family shall not exceed 120% of the applicable FMR. And Table 3 shows the proposed 2025 exception payment standards for reasonable accommodation for persons with disabilities and participants of the Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing Programs. And it shows from 0 bedroom to 6 bedroom rates at 120% of fair market rent. Whereas the approved payment standard schedule shall be applied to HAP contracts effectuated for calendar year 2025, and therefore be it resolved that the Guam Housing and Urban Renewal Authority Board of Commissioners approve the payment standards for calendar year 2025. And these, the information in this payment standards and the memo are also all in the board packet, which is published online in the GURA Board of Commissioners meetings. If you have any questions, we have Miss Norma and Nicole in the boardroom.
Thank you, Madam Director. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Ms. Norma?
No, I have no questions.
Ms. Norma, would you like to add something?
Well, thank you very much for reviewing this, and hopefully I can get your support. This, like everything else, is very important, and this is for our families. And as what was explained in the memo, the primary reason we are asking for, or rather that we've increased up to the maximum of 110, is because of the increase in power, water, and sewer. So, and because utilities is part of the housing assistance, That's why we based it on that, and not necessarily because the payment, I mean, the fair market rent went up. That's all.
Cost of everything's just going up.
Mhm.
If I don't have any questions, may I get a motion on the floor?
Chairman, I'll make a motion on resolution number FY 2025-007, resolution approving fiscal year 2025, section 8, Choice Voucher Program, payment standards
Thank you, Commissioner Corpus.
increased.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Nice. All right,
Thank you very much.
thank you, Ms. Noma.
Thank you, Mr.
Let us know again if you just speak the vote.
You need to vote.
Oh, sorry. Say thank you.
I didn't want to be rude. She said, thank you.
Sorry. Don't confuse. No.
I'm not confused. I was raised good gentleman.
Thank you. My apologies.
Yeah, no, okay. Since I got two hands, excuse me, may I get a vote on the floor? 1, 2, 3, motion passes.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you again.
There we go, Norma. Good job.
All right, motion approves. All right, last item, resolution number FY 2025-008, resolution to extend loan funds to,
I don't have that.
I believe there's the executive director will be requesting for it to be tabled.
oh, should I still read it out?
Yes.
Okay, and may I ask how to pronounce that? Just want to make sure. All right, resolution number FY 2025-008, resolution to extend the funds to Maneklu by GHURA.
And thank you, Vice Chair. This item number is going to be tabled at this time. That's why it's not in your board packet. It wasn't ready for this meeting, so my apologies. It will be tabled at this time.
Thank you, Madam Director. Appreciate the clarity. All right, resolution FY 2025-008 will be tabled until further notice. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 5, general discussions and announcements. Next proposed scheduled board meeting will be Tuesday, November 26, 2024 at 12 p.m. As always, want to thank Ms. Cadden and Ms. Audrey for keeping us inundated with our availability. And please just get with our staff if there's any concerns or any unforeseen events that could prevent you guys from joining us. All right. With that being said, if there's nothing else to be discussed, shared, or acknowledged, I'm going to call for an adjournment, please. All right, can I get a second? Thank you. Meeting adjourned. It is 1:25 p.m. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Madam Director.
you.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Got a storm prep now.
I know. Oh, by the way, we're at 4-3. Yeah.